All right, hello everybody. Welcome to this episode of Unity through Diversity. And today I have one of my dear friend, Troy Hale.
Got it.
Here, and he just got to my place, and we're gonna record his podcast, and we're gonna talk about a little bit about his story and also the newest documentary, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie documentary called Shit.
Yes.
Do we supposed to say?
I think you can say it on a podcast.
Okay, so why you cannot say on the radio?
Because of government rules.
Oh, okay.
But the podcast is okay. You can curse on a podcast.
Oh, really? Okay.
And in a documentary.
All right. So I just want to make sure that I'm not violating any rules because you know
okay.
all the regulation. But normally, I have to be honest with you guys, audience here, because normally I do not go through people's bio because it just goes. And for him, I feel like I need to just give you a proper just background sharing with the audience because you carry so many, I don't want to say titles, you know, the labels, hats.
I like to do a lot of things.
Yes, that's why I say, hey, let me just pull the, Google page out so I can, hopefully I can cover, most part. Mm-hmm. I think you still extend your list of, in certain roles and jump into certain things. So first of all, you are as a professor in MSU, right?
I'm a professor of practice at MSU, yes.
What difference is?
I don't have a PhD.
Okay, so you go call professor.
Professor of practice.
Of practice.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
But thanks for clearing. I never know. This is my first time. Actually know the differences between that. And what you teach? How many classes you teach there? 4?
Most of the time 4 a semester. So I teach documentary film, I teach fiction film, and I teach journalism.
Okay, now just bring the background back to you been working in the journalist, right? For how many years? When you started your career?
I started as a radio DJ in college in '96. But
You're gonna share with people your age right now, is it?
No, I'm 22. I'm very young. I was a child prodigy, and I was in college when I was 10. So it was fine. I'm just kidding.
You can go for that, but
yeah.
I feel sometimes people's math, solving skills.
Their skills are good. Okay, so I should stop doing that.
No, we're joking. Right. Okay.
I started in TV in 2000, so 22 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and let me just brief a little bit, okay? Then we can go see wherever we're gonna start. Mm-hmm. So you are 32-time Emmy Award winner.
Yes.
And you were just talking about it when you reach 30, you're fine, right? And you got 32 now, so you have to keep going to get 40.
No.
Well, let's see about that.
Maybe.
And you have been nominated for over 65 times.
Yes.
As a documentary filmmaker and television journalist. So why you choose documentary film?
My career started in TV news. Okay. So I produced like a minute and a half story every day for the news. And then later on in my career, I went into special projects and investigative news, which is longer format news. So it's a 5 to 10 minute story.
Yeah.
And then when I moved into academia to start teaching at MSU, I did a TV show for Michigan State University every month that was 30 minutes long, which started off as kind of a news, like 5 different stories. Mm-hmm. But then that became a 30-minute, one topic thing, which is a documentary. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of started growing from there. And then, you get all the way up to 74 minutes for a feature-length documentary. So it's
building up.
Over time. Yeah, over time you build and you build and build. My students right now, as a brand new filmmaker, they want to make a feature film. And I go, no, you have to start small and then work your way up.
Hey, you got to take at least 22 years. So
they can do it faster than I did.
Okay, so 32 times.
Yes.
And then nominated 65 times. So when was your first one, and then what made you want to go to, obviously in your industry is Emmy Award is something, right? Like every industry has something. So and when was that, and then what made you to do that first time?
I always talk about, I tend not to talk about the awards too much because it's kind of snobby to talk about your awards. So I tend not to do it too much, but what I tell my students is you never try to get an award. You try to do really good work all the time.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, when the award season comes around, you go, well, what do I have that's good? And you go, oh, these are really good. I like these. These should be put in for awards.
Yeah.
So I started that, let's see, probably the second or third year. I think it was the third year. I think the first year I sent one in and I didn't win. I didn't even get nominated. And then like 3 years into my career, I started producing some good stuff. And my colleagues and I said, hey, let's put that thing in that we put together, and it ended up winning. So
how do you feel first time you win?
Oh, it was crazy.
Now you don't even go to the...
You're right. I don't go to the awards. Well, the pandemic, it was all online, but I get very, very nervous at the awards. The most nervous I get in my life. So I tend not to go to the awards anymore, just to not have the nervousness.
But have you ever thought about why? Because you're doing nervous. You're doing the news, all the things you were talking from camera, right? And behind camera, in front of camera, you make the documentary of your own thing. You have to basically in front of camera all the time, and you teach students. So what's the thing of on the stage of award that people say, hey, the winner is Troy, and you're like.
Well, after they announce it, there's no nerves.
Oh, okay.
It's the it's
waiting.
just here's the envelope, and not only the envelope, but it's you know when your category's coming up.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, in 3 more, like they're gonna announce me. Oh no, in 2 more, they're gonna announce me, and you just get more and more. The awards the awards are set up like that, to create drama, and just internally, I don't enjoy that very much.
And you didn't go this year.
I didn't go this year. No.
Where were you? When
my band had a gig.
Okay.
So I was playing with my band on stage somewhere, and I didn't go.
Were you thinking about that? And when is that time? Because you usually know around that time everything's gonna be happening.
I was looking at my phone a lot. Yeah. Yeah. And then they were announced after my gig, so I was driving home with my phone going. So.
Yeah. So now the reason I ask this question is because. Now, after you went through so much of those things, to you, it's just like a part of your life. It's like, okay, if I have good work, I will submit, but not much of like for the award, right? But a lot of people, young people out there, that's why we share those podcasts. It's not where we are at right now. It's the journey where you started to here. Now, I know a lot of time we don't want to talk about because we don't want people to think that we focus on those words. But you put a lot of work into every single of them. And then we talked about, what I do. I always, told you so many times that I don't like to do editing. And when I see your computer of those things, I literally just like, I don't even want to look at that. Like, I have a headache. And my stomach started, was like, oh shit, it's this shit.
Yeah, nice.
It's just, let's see how many shit I would say in this podcast, because you give me the right reason, and which we're going to talk about this movie as in the between of our recording today. But for people, I think even for myself, right? We want to see the movie when the thing is already beautiful with music, everything, but a lot of people I have they have no idea. Even your student, they come to MSU to do. They are I want to learn how to do the filming, but there's a lot of foundation stuff in it before they have make the beautiful thing.
Yes.
So that's why I say, hey, those awards is not just like to you. It's like very you just need to do good work and submit in. Everything's cool, but I know that's not just a little thing. Every single I don't even know how many hours you're editing. So do you have an average of let's say. A 74 minutes of documentary. How many hours are you putting in editing?
It's a lot. I don't keep track of the time for a good reason. Even
yeah, right.
Well, even when you think about, and this is what, and you're right. My students think, hey, let's just go out and make a film. And there's so much. I was thinking. There's so much pre-production in it. There's so much, and that's what makes it successful. Is you think about the whole process before it's made, and you can visualize. The whole film before you shoot, before you edit, before anything. And not only that, but you can talk to people and see if it's going to be sellable. So before you even start, for a film like this, there's a lot of research that goes into it. So I have an 80-page Word document just full of research before I even started the film. And then I'm looking to see if there's other films that have been made on that topic before I even
right?
I even make the film. And I've gone through a couple of films where I found that there's another film out there, and I go, oh, okay, is my film different enough, or do I just put it aside and make something different? So you're right. It's a ton of work that goes into it. Luckily for me, I enjoy the process, and the process to me is, the first shoot on this film and the first little 5-minute edit isn't anywhere near what that film is, but it gets you the idea of where you want to go with it, and it's a discovery. It's like I like that he said this, and I didn't even realize that was part of this. Ooh, now I need to look over here. So for me, it's a lot of fun. And even with this, we had a final edit, and we screened it for a bunch of friends, a bunch of filmmaker friends, a bunch of artistic friends, and I didn't even watch the movie. I just looked at them to see if they were laughing at the right time, to see if they're, and I'm taking notes about what's working, what's not. And then we all had a discussion at the end, glass of wine, and we all just start talking about the film. Oh, this. Yeah. And we had, 3-4 pages of notes after 2 screenings, and my producer and editor stayed after, and I looked at her, and she was like, we've got a couple more months to work on this, to re-edit, don't we? I was like, yes. And we were exhausted at that point with the film. I go, hey, let's take a week or 2 off, and then we'll come back to it. But after that edit, that film was so much better, and 10 different final edits on that film.
So since we are talking about the film, we talk many times. I think it's perfect time. We talk about this movie. Okay, so the movie's name, the name is called Shit. That's why I would say, see how many times I say this word on this podcast.
Shit saves the world. Yes.
Shit saves the world.
Yes.
Okay, so will you tell us a little bit about where this concept come from, and why this idea dropped into you? Say, hey, that's something I want to make this, and when was that? Because I would just want to give the audience ideas. Like, hey, when you even have an idea and you put all your work, all your energy to make this happen, this is probably the period of producing time, right? So I have on my phone, I have hundreds of ideas. Oh, you showed me some.
Yeah,
Did you keep adding?
I added last week. Because I'm listening in the car to the podcast coming here today, and I go, oh, that's really interesting. So when I stop, I can add that to the list and see if there's an area that I want to work on. And I've got way more ideas on here than I will ever be able to do. But it's a nice little list, and that's where something like this comes up, where you just have an idea, or you're talking with friends, and sometimes the ideas make us laugh a little bit, and I go, oh, it made us laugh. Oh, okay, let me put this on the list. And then I start searching, and seeing that the film in this packaging, the way we put it together, didn't exist. And the other thing is the idea of the titling of it is to grab a bunch of attention, because it's basically an environmental film, but kind of wrapped in a comedy package. So there's a lot of humor based in there, and I think humor is one of the best ways to actually communicate things. It's like the Daily Show on Comedy Central. They talk about all these political things, but they do it with humor, and young people watch it. So just the packaging of it, most environmental films are kind of, we're killing the planet and there's nothing we can do, or just all this bad news. Where in this, there's problems for sure, but here's a whole bunch of people that are building anaerobic digesters that now are able to convert human waste into electricity, or here's how we're getting water out of it, or here's how we're getting fertilizer out. There's a lot of different things people are doing to solve this problem, which I like that idea about an environmental film with solutions. Yes, you don't want to put people there and feel devastated. And a lot of movies handing people as the end, I just don't like it. But they are making the second movie. But I got the concept is like, if you bring up the problem, what is potential solution? Yes, like what we can do, right? So now just make people more anxiety and stressed, and then like what can we do? That's what I like about this. It's the problem and the solution, and inside of that, it's entertaining and funny. So if you just want a film where you want to laugh, it's got that in it. If you want something that has history, it's got history in it. If you want something that has the environmental aspect, it's got that. It's got the solution. So it's I mean, it's my favorite film so far. It's got to be because it's my most recent. So you're always making a better film than last time.
So now actually, it's already out there, right?
Yes, it's been out on video on demand platforms for about 3 weeks now.
3 weeks now.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
I'll know in a couple of months.
You do a little bit of, right?
Yeah, we see the sales every quarter, so I don't know what it is right now, but I'm getting a lot of people liking my posts on Instagram and Facebook and my website, shitsavestheworld.com. That the traffic on that has exploded a little bit, so it's nice, and people keep liking my pages and sending me stuff, and I'm getting emails and phone calls about media and podcasts and all that stuff. So.
Oh yeah. From me too?
Yeah, no, from you. I got one tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow, so. Because you're my friend, and I was hey, do you want to? I don't know. Our platform is very different from a different platform, right?
Oh sure.
So one thing I want to ask you is that you also have this movie documentary that also are selling in different countries. Is this one? Or other
yes,
one?
This one. So this one was sold to 6 different markets. So
what are they?
The U.S. and Canada, and that's the one that's out right now. France, the UK and Ireland. We sold that at Cannes Film Festival, which is really neat. I get to say that one of my films sold at the Cannes Film Festival. Cannes. It's a big film festival in France.
Okay, all right.
So we didn't screen there, but we sold the film there.
Aww.
And let's see, we are in Hong Kong.
Okay.
We are in Taiwan and Japan.
So
I think I got all of them. Was that 7?
I think so.
Okay, 7, something like that.
Well, keep going.
The U.S. and Canada is one market. UK and Ireland is one market.
Okay, you put them together. That's why I was like, hey, that's 2.
Yeah. So it's like Okay, sorry, 6 markets, 8 countries, something like that.
That's okay. So
and hopefully by the time this comes out, my sales agent has sold it to more places.
Yeah, will it come out like in 2 weeks also, 2 or 3 weeks?
I don't know. I don't know when the international's coming out yet. I should probably call them and ask it, but there's a different release date for those.
Okay. Yes. For this documentary, you can find its name called "Shit Saves the World" and on Apple TV, iTunes, right?
Apple TV, iTunes, Amazon,
everywhere.
Vudu? Almost everywhere. Yeah, you could if you just look it up.
Yeah, and also, we're not done yet. We just that's the flow. Okay, I want to ask you a little bit about the one you did last year. Oh, you haven't told us how long from this idea to actually the
how long?
From you have idea to everything like 3 weeks ago, everything released.
So this one, I want to say was on my computer, my folder says 2017 was the first time that I really looked at it at all. But also I'm a full-time, teacher. I'm a full-time professor of practice at Michigan State University. So in a way, this is a hobby. So it takes me longer to do things like that. I don't want everybody to think, oh my God, if I want to do a film, it's going to take 4 or 5 years. But and also it was during the pandemic. So we didn't shoot a lot during the pandemic and that kind of stuff. You can do a film shorter than that. If you were doing a film full-time, you can do it in a year, 6 months, whatever. But it took me a lot longer.
Well, that's like a longer sometime you take. You probably have more things to come through, then you make the corrections, right? You make twitch here. Yeah,
for me, like I don't know about you, but almost all of my ideas come in the shower in the morning. I don't know why that is.
I shower or driving when I'm cooking because you are half distracted. So you are not let me sit here think about what I want. That usually we are trying to get the idea come through. But when you are, especially I'm cooking, folding laundry or mow the lawn or whatever it is, or walking and driving, usually for me, when it's driving, that's why I like a long drive, because then that's why you told me that a lot of things I already did. I will put on the voice message thing. And even though 10 seconds, I was like, if I don't record right now, it would be gone. So I have over 100 of voice messages. Well, I don't know how to turn into the words because now I need to go to listen to each of them. Versus you already have things written so you can go through these things. So a lot of video I want to make is like they are in my voice message. So that's why if I answer your question.
Yeah. And that's just where my brain works really well. And like you were saying, over 4 years of time with that film, that's a lot of showers that I can think about stuff. And also, And that's, I go, oh, you know what, I should do that. Oh, I should look into that. Oh, I should, and that just builds into the film. So
the audience love visualize you were showering.
Oh, great, yeah.
With
yeah,
the video where they, oh, Joyce. Okay, now talking about on the road driving, that's actually the next one I want to ask you, the Professor on the Road.
Yes.
You just did it 1 year or it's 2 years?
I did Professor on the Road just 1 year. It was last year. So the project was over the pandemic. All of our classes were completely online.
Yes.
Students were a little bit bummed out because they couldn't be in the dorms and hanging out with friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were taking classes by themselves on a laptop. So I said, well, for me, it's just me. I was watching too much YouTube with all the travel channels and all that stuff because I was stuck at home and I wanted to be out in the world. And I decided to get a truck camper, build it up, record YouTube episodes, and then go on the road and then teach my students on the road. So we have a 14-week class. So every week I had a YouTube episode for my students. When they logged in, they could watch my YouTube episode and see what I was doing. And also that YouTube episode was, I'm teaching film production and journalism, and I'm on camera doing work. I'm showing people how to use microphones and audio gear and all that kind of stuff. And my students have to produce like 1 minute of video a week, and I'm there producing 13 minutes a week. So that it's like, hey, I can do it. You guys can do it.
Yeah.
And they can see, they were able to watch something that I was doing, which they enjoyed.
Yes.
But also see how I was producing it because they had to produce it as well.
Yeah.
And that became pretty successful. We were in 10 different media sites. San Diego News covered us and all that kind of stuff. And that's actually one of the products that won the Emmy Awards this year and last year.
Okay.
Was the Professor on the Road series.
Okay.
Yeah. It won 6.
Won 6?
Yeah, won 6 awards.
So that one is actually one of the won the most awards among
per project. Probably
that's
yes.
What I'm talking, yeah.
Yeah, and also that was 14 episodes, and 2 of the episodes were put in for awards. So the first episode won 2, and the second episode won. The last episode won 4. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's
This one won 2.
It
was up for 5. It won 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the category 1 for this one?
We won for our film trailer very early in the process.
Yes.
And then I personally won for my narration in it. So it was like a performer kind of award.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I get it after you nominated 65 times. You better good at acting, performing, however you say it.
You get used to things, yeah. And with everything you do, there's a process. Exactly. And once you understand the process, then it makes it a lot easier to do. So the years of experience sure help, and it also helps with being able to say, well, what are some of the better elements inside that film? And okay, the writing was good, so we put it in for a writing award. It got nominated, didn't win for writing. So you understand what the elements are that are good.
You probably already understand how the internal system works. So you already know, okay, if you have this movie, you better for this category, not that category. Even though you want to win that category, but that's more competitor there, right?
Yeah. And experience is important. That's something that I try to get through to my students.
Yes.
Because they want to be really good now. And I'll have a student come up to me and say, hey, how do I make my film more cinematic? And I go, age 20 years, because it's just information piled upon information over time. Yeah. And that's it.
Okay. So back to Professor on the Road, right?
Yeah.
Did you take your cat with you?
I did take my cat with me, yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit? Because when I first met you, you had a hat. No, of course, summertime, of course.
Oh, it's in the car. Yeah. I got that.
So, okay. Tell us a little bit more, because that's why it's a lot, of course, a lot of movie or documentary are there, but sometimes it's so serious. But that one, I think you got so many awards is because you are doing something out of the norm, like a little bit fun, a little bit more of a playful and relaxing. So you want to share a little bit, like, I mean, it sounds very easy. I just put a truck camper. Again, everything you say is so easy. Is because to you, it's like, I'm done it, right? You're done it already, like last year? Is last year? Or 2 years ago? 2020? Or 2021?
I think it was 2020, yeah. I don't remember.
But anyway, you already done it, so you already went through the process. Everything is so easy. Then, if people heard this thing, they're like, oh yeah, I want to go on the road. I know it's not easy.
Yeah, well,
right?
I mean, going on the road is also very expensive.
Yeah, and with
which
your
is why it didn't
cat,
last very long. And
which is really cute.
Oh, and then with Dusty, yeah. So my cat is Dusty. He's Dusty the Adventure Cat on Instagram. I think he probably has more likes than I do on Instagram. So which is okay. He's
older than you too, by the way, from the cat years.
Well, for cat years, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's past me. He's old. He's an old man.
Yeah.
I'm 22. So
yes.
Dusty's almost 17 now, I think. Yeah, he's an old cat.
I say, holy shit, that's good.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
He's still jumping around. But yeah, so I went on the road with Dusty, which was an adventure in itself. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he was good. It was nice to have.
Where did you go?
Trip.
Tell us your.
So I started in Michigan.
Roots. Yeah.
Drove through Nebraska. My little sister lives in Nebraska with her family, so we stopped
Yes.
there. Kept traveling through. We went into Colorado, did some skiing in Colorado. Drove through, went to Arizona, New Mexico, California. Came back through Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, and then.
How many weeks you were there?
I want to say it was 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks.
That's a lot because I remember you put a map road thing.
Yeah.
Somehow last year, I don't know when I saw that, but when I did my 2020, I did my 3 weeks road trip. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to. I went to California, but to Lake Tahoe, to Death Valley. Then I think I went to Joshua Tree.
Yes.
Then I turned around.
Yes.
I didn't really go so far away because it's like I was like, I have a little camper pool behind me, and my van realized that when people go 75, I go 45. I was like, shit, don't break down because I know nothing about a car, and it's really hot, and it's like go uphill, and it was something. Yeah. So,
the mountains were interesting with the truck camper as well.
Oh my goodness, I'm not gonna go there again. That's why I survived. That's why when we come back now, we can tell people, say, hey, you might gonna pull through, but you don't want to risk that because you don't want to get actually break down on the road, right? And it's for myself now. I know something. I will not do that trip again.
I had a 4-wheel drive truck and I almost got stuck.
Where?
In the middle of nowhere on this back road, and I sunk into some mud, and I was really worried because I'm 15 miles off a normal road.
I stuck too.
And that normal road wasn't even busy road. And I was
how did you get out?
Well, I was lucky. I didn't sink in that bad. I started spinning, and I stopped the car. I wasn't in 4-wheel drive yet. I stopped the car. I stuck it in 4-wheel drive low, and really slowly pulled out of it, and just really. And I was turning around, and it was wet, and I went into
created some.
Yeah,
right?
It was a bad idea. So I didn't do that again.
That's why I would say, hey, we gotta, it's more of it's easier to bring, certain things so easy. When I did 3 weeks road trip, I got stuck at one place 2 times. Where is that? I think it's Colorado. I don't even know the place anymore. I got there and it gets really foggy. And when I check the weather, the next day gonna have snow. I start from 7:30. So when I pull into that area, like sand, sand thing, in the mountain something, and when I go in, I realize that because with a camper, I'm really bad at backing out with a camper. Yeah. Like that's probably stress me most is backing out. Yeah. So the more I drive in, the more I realize that I might not gonna be able to get out. So by the time I'm driving, I'm already noticing, is there anybody around me? Luckily, when I'm passing by, there's one guy, he has his van, that he lean out. When I look at it, and he look at me, I look at him. I realize that's a person. And his name is, I don't know, Tom Jim or something. I was like, he's my angel. I called it, no, it's Benjamin.
Yeah.
Ben, he's my angel probably. And I look at him, he's like, do you need some help? I was, yeah. Can you help me to just turn around because I do not think I should go even further. And he did it. He said he used to drive he does this like lawnmower thing, landscaping. Yeah. So he's pretty good at backing things. I was perfect. Yes. So he backed out. I found a place to literally stay, but I probably should. I tried to drive in to circle out. But when I drive in, circle out as this, I stuck again. So I had to walk back there. He's like, how long, like how far, I called him, messaged me. He's like, how far do you make it? I was like, well, probably 0.3 miles, down the road. And he's like, okay, I'm coming.
Oh, nice.
So he came again, he backed out. Instead I would go, I want to park like this way. So next morning I can just go pull out, right?
Yeah.
So instead of going this way, he helped me to back in this. And I'm literally off the road. Like my car nose is right there because he's like, it's probably safe for you if you're not going so deep because what if you get stuck again?
Yep.
And so I was there, and for the whole entire 3 weeks, I never get stuck, but that same place I stuck 2 times. And luckily I found somebody. So I know how frustrated or scary, especially by myself out there, and I know not much about a car or anything like that. I have no idea, but that's the journey, part of the journey, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good story to tell too.
Oh yeah, I have other one. I told you the other one, bear climb on my camper, but this is not about my show here. So what is the most wildest thing that you encounter besides you stuck in the mud? Because with Dusty, I know he doesn't really run away, but you be out there 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, there was one point. So I had Dusty on a little leash thing that I could attach to the truck camper, and I was packing up. I was at the Colorado Monument. Yes. Nobody around me. I had camped the night. Really cold that night.
Yes.
But the next morning was fine. I was breaking everything down. I was like, well, I'll let Dusty roam around here, but I'll clamp him on the leash. And of course he goes down below my tire and like tries to go around my tire a couple of times. I'm like, oh, like, so I get him all untangled and let him do his thing. And I'm working on the thing, and I only turn my back for a minute, and I look over and there's a collar just sitting on the ground. Because it's a breakaway collar, right? So he probably went around the tire again and just pulled, and the collar popped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, like I'm in the middle of nowhere. Where did he go? Like there's just so much. And I freaked out a little bit, and then I looked inside the camper, and it freaked him out. He jumped back inside the camper, and he's just sitting there. So I was like, all right.
He's an old man, doesn't want to go anyway. He's like, I think there's something fun to get me. Let me go back to the camper.
And he also probably jumped like that high to get back in the camper as an old cat. And, it probably scared him enough that he's like, I'm back into a safe place.
Well,
but for 10 seconds, my heart dropped, and I'm like, I have no idea where to look for this cat now because there's space all around me that he could have run to.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is where was the this question is going to be weird because you don't want to ask people, where is best scene for you on the road because it's well big. But let's say top a couple highlights of the spots you went through, like this it's a really cool spot for whatever your reason, right? Your perspective, my perspective is different. Something I see beautiful, you're like, Gina, that's right.
I really like towards the end of my trip I stopped at Bonneville Salt Flats, and that was really nice. And
I think that's the one I stopped as in the Utah. That's the one I stopped.
Yeah, so I did that, and the night before I stayed. I got there late, and I stayed in the mountains, just camped, randomly somewhere, and then went down and did the Salt Flats in the morning. And that day I actually had a Zoom faculty meeting. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to have a signal. Like, I'm not going to do it. And I'm in the middle of the Salt Flats, and I had a good signal. I don't know how. So I opened up my truck, and I let Dusty just go wherever he wanted to because it's miles and miles. There's people out there, racing their cars and stuff, but they're 2 miles that way. There's nobody around me. So I just opened up the whole thing, let Dusty go wherever he wanted to, and just put my phone on speaker to hear the faculty meeting. And I just kind of walked behind him for an hour and let him just explore. And that was a lot of fun because it gave him a lot of freedom to do whatever he wanted. And
it depends on what time of day you have the cat out on the Salt Flat, because it's when I was there, I don't know what time, but what time of year there. When I was there, I think it's end of August. It's really hot.
It wasn't too hot for us. In fact, the night before it, we were kind of chilly because we didn't have electricity at that little random camping spot. So it was a little chilly for us. So it was fine. I was in long pants, and he was happy. So that was great. And then we were up in the mountains and we went skiing. I went skiing. Dusty didn't go skiing.
Actually, can you carry the cat go to ski if you want to?
I would doubt it. I would feel bad actually because I might fall. And then I'd fall on Dusty, but also like he doesn't like being in a bag very long, so he was fine. I had a little electric blanket inside the truck, and he laid on it, and he was like, I got back, and he was just happy as could be. So he was curled up and asleep. I was worried about him a couple times. So. Yeah. But yeah, we did that, and then I got out to California, and it got a little bit warmer. It was never really hot, so that was just great, especially for Dusty because he was stuck in the truck sometimes or in the camper.
He has long fur, just to let you guys know.
Yeah. So I took him out last year, I think, on a trip in the summer, and it wasn't as much fun because I had to really watch him, because just even jumping out to go get some food and come back real quick in 20 minutes, the car got too hot for that. Yeah. So traveling with him at the time that I did in the early, I think I left in February and I came back in April.
Oh yeah, you were at the perfect time.
It was perfect. He could deal with the cold better than I could. So if we were camping one night, there's one night it was 8 degrees out, and and we had the electric blanket, so we were semi-warm that night. But anything 32 degrees, we were happy. But he did a lot better in 8 degrees than I did.
Well, he has fur.
Yeah. So the winter-wise, it was perfect for him. But summertime traveling with him, not so good. I didn't bring him today.
Well, he's here. He can wander around. Actually, one day I had my sunroom door open, right? I was in session, and the one cat just walked in. It's like, all right, let me check around, and this is my whole. I had to go to close the other doors because I was, hey, you can explore in the living room, but I'm not going to have you go to the different bedroom or other rooms. So I closed the door. The cat is wandering around, and to me, the cat is not get lost. I know he's wandering around. I actually found the tag and texted the owner, but I was in a session. So, and then the cat just walk out of my, yard, and I was like, I don't know how he get in, but if he can get in, he can get out. Yeah. And later the owner called me. I was like, well, he was here, then he's gone. He's like, it's not his first time going wandering around. I was like, yeah, he doesn't feel like, hungry or scared or whatsoever. He's very chill and just looking around. I even took a picture with the cat. And I was like, yeah, this is my special guest. But anyway, I want to pull the timeline back a little bit, okay? We want to know a little bit about your childhood, right?
Oh boy.
Not the childhood. Just want to give people a little bit of more full spectrum of things, because for how you be so gifted or talented in different areas, right? I barely, scrape the level of, can't present you in a way that serves justice. Like you play in the band, right? Yeah. And you also go into this, what the race is, the triathlon, that. And what else you get yourself into? You were a journalist, right? You were radio DJ?
Long time
ago. But I want to go back to your childhood. It's just, what would your father describe you? Use 3 words, because that's because it's hard to tell just your story, right? Like a story is great, but what would your father, what kind of words, 3 words, your father would describe you?
Oh my goodness! And
I'm going to ask all around because you have.
I'm trying to think. No, my father was a very successful engineer and very mathematical, very. This table is this long and this.
Very logical.
Yeah, I mean, he's artistic. He can create. He's a woodworker, so he can do really cool things with wood. But I was always more the artistic kind of side of things, where he was the math. I didn't do good in math classes, and at night we would be at the kitchen table doing math problems, and I just hated it so much.
Yeah, because
Well, that wasn't where my interest was, and that's super where his interest was, because that's what he was as an engineer. He was very so it's hard for me to think about the words, because it would be like
all the math equations.
Well, because at the time it would be, I would have been unfocused, probably. Like, I wasn't a great student. I wasn't a terrible student, but I wasn't, my studies weren't really what interested me. What interested me was.
So he would say you were unfocused?
I guess.
That time. What else?
Well, I mean, I was talented in certain areas. I was creative.
Creative,
I was
yeah.
creative, and I had a good imagination. So those are probably
Obviously.
a couple.
Yes.
Those are probably a couple. But yeah, my interests were playing sports and playing video games and drawing and you know those kind of things.
Yes.
I never thought I was going to be a business person, you know, on that area of things.
Yes.
So and I think now he appreciates it a lot more. And I think that's a lot of even the students that I teach.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have parents come up to me and they go, "Well, is journalism still a viable career? Is filmmaking a viable career?" And I go, "Well, we're doing video right now. We're doing audio right now for podcasting. How many podcasts are out there? There's a lot of them. How many people are there jobs in that industry? Yeah, there's jobs in that industry. How many different streaming services do we have? You know, Netflix, Amazon, you know, just name Hulu, whatever, just name whatever it is. All those places are making video product, film product, and they need people to do those jobs. So, but back in the day, it was kind of, you know, is that a viable career for somebody that grew up in a tiny little area in Delaware and Hollywood's all the way in California?
Yeah, right.
So those kind of things. So that's, you know,
okay.
Long answer to your question.
No, that's beautiful because this will, from other people's perspective, to you know, see who you are.
Yeah.
And then, well, the next one is what words your mom would say describe you? If she's right here, ask her, hey, would you give me 3
like
words?
right now?
Yeah.
You know, independent, creative, pain in the ass. You know, I think those are pretty good. I think. I mean, I make films about shit. So.
Yeah. What did they say when you say, "Hey, mom, dad, I have this. She has saved the world," you know.
So my previous film that's on the back of that, you know, a Farta documentary I made 7 years ago. And so these are my first 2 commercial films. I've made a bunch of other documentaries that weren't really sellable, but these are my first 2 that are that you can watch right now. My parents invested in both those films.
Okay.
So there was a need for an investment. The distribution company would have put that investment in, but then they would have taken a bigger percentage.
Okay.
So I called my parents and I said, "Hey, if anybody gets a percentage, I'd rather it be you. You don't have to invest in my film if you don't want to. It's not a big deal." And they said, "Well, we're investing in you, not the film." You know, because filmmaking, I mean, the number one rule of filmmaking is most films lose money. So when I asked my parents, I go, "I just want to let you know that most films lose money. This investment could be lost. I just want to let you know ahead of time with that." And they said, "We're investing in you, not the film." So, and then that film made money. And the best feeling in the world was to be able to pay the investment off and then give them an extra $1 and say, "Hey, you've now made money." And this is still making money, so they're they're still getting a little bit of an investment return on it, but they don't care about that.
Exactly.
They, you know, when I call them and I say, "Hey, you know, I got the recent check in, you get X% of this," they're like, "Don't worry about it." I go, "Nope, I'm sending you a check."
Oh, that's so sweet.
So when this one came out, you know, same exact thing. They were like, you know, they asked, "When do you need something?" And that was very nice of them to already believe in it that much. And the nice thing about this film is I didn't need as much of an investment from them because I already had people in the industry that said, you know, "Hey, we're interested in it. We want to help out." And, you know, again, it's growing from one film to another.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
perfect. So you have a sister, right?
Yes.
Younger sister?
Yes.
Just one sister?
2 years younger than me. Yes.
So what did she say about you as your big brother?
I would go with pain in the ass first this time. No, we love each other. We don't see each other very often.
Yes.
I've got a niece and a nephew that I love very much. I actually just donated some money to my niece's softball team a couple days ago, so I got a nice thank you message from them. So I don't know. I don't know what she would say. I don't know. Pain in the ass, loving. I don't know what the third one is. Too much pressure right now.
It's okay. Well, let's talk about why you because you brought up your mother will say and your sister will say your opinion. Yeah. So what did you do in that?
I think
to that?
it's one of those. It's not like pain in the ass as in
I know,
we don't get along.
There's something there. Right?
We like to pick on each other. We like to give each other a hard time.
Yes.
We like to. It's all lovingness. It's all I mean I think it's pain in the ass as the best possible sense of that word. And my dad, same thing. We like to give each other a hard time and pick on each other. But then we go out and we have a beautiful family vacation, or so we're. I think most families are like that, though. I think most families have that kind of lovingness, but also like a hey, you remember when you were 5 and you told me what I was getting for Christmas,
just sometimes give you a hard time in front of other people, right?
Yeah,
just,
it's
part of the.
It's all that history,
Yes.
We have a lot of things on each other that we can bring up.
Well, that's beautiful. That's called a family. Every family have unique way of interact with each other, right? That's
absolutely.
loving in a different way. And okay, so what your student would say about you?
They would start with pain in the ass too. No,
but in a different way.
I'm just kidding. I am a little bit hard on my students because I want them to do really great stuff. So I'm a little bit harder on them. So they would probably say that I'm a little bit tough, but not even with grading. Like my students get pretty good grades. So my toughness is a little bit more like, hey, you got to do this right. You got to do this correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get them ready for the real world. So, I mean, I'm fair. I'm approachable. I'm. I think I'm a little bit unconventional. I think unconventional is a good word. It's
unconventional.
I don't like to sit up and put a PowerPoint up and kind of point at the PowerPoint. I'd rather just go, all right, you guys want to learn how to make film, right? Okay, all right, grab the camera and let's go. Like, what do you mean? Okay, well, we're gonna do this scene coverage, and you have to do it in a certain way, but hey, put this stuff, put everything together the way you think, and I'll come around and tell you why you're wrong.
I think that's the way probably it's for me. If I learn, you let me watch PowerPoint, I'm gonna fall asleep. It's just so boring. Yeah. And I remember a lot of classes in college. Actually, I was like, seriously, like 4 hours, right? 3 hours in the break whatsoever is like a lot. Yeah. So if it's a bit, you demonstrate with actually doing it and then learning it, and then hey, you could be a different way. Try this way. It's more of probably my way of doing things. Even for my healing work right now, to a certain time, people want to strengthen their intuition. Then I was okay now. I open my energy. You can tune into my energy. Tell me what you pick up. So like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you are in front of me. I connect with your energy. So basically, I'm reading everything that you're showing me, but I'm holding the container. Now I'm gonna open my side, which means that I give you permission to access to my energy. So you can practice. There's nothing wrong because whatever come up, there's no right or wrong. But matter of fact is how much you trust it and say it, and then we can talk about it, right? So it's like allow people to, I don't know, I'm not going to teach, I don't know how I teach people, I demonstrate it. And you practice. You want to do reading? Go ahead.
Yes.
Just go for it.
And even, in your area too, for me, there's a connection you have to have with students.
Oh, for sure.
In order for them to be able to move in a certain direction. And I think you're right with, they're so used to classes where there's somebody up there just talking at them. And my class allows me to say, hey, you can pick this thing up and you can mess with it, and I can show you how to make it work the right way instead of because they don't understand all the gear and all that kind of stuff yet. They don't understand the process of putting together something that's a 72-minute film that they don't understand how much work goes into that.
I really don't want to know.
Well, yeah.
I want to know, but I don't want to know.
And that's what they don't want. They just go, I just want to make a film. I just want to make a film. Yeah. They go, well, it's a lot of work, but I just want to make a film.
Yeah.
Like,
they want the end the product. They want to skip the process.
Everybody kind of wants that end product. It's like asking a brand new basketball player to join the NBA. like, don't worry about the work, don't worry about all the training and all
You're
that
born
stuff.
to be that, right? You're born to be that.
You're 6, you can join the NBA now, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The next question will be challenging. Actually, it will be easy because you're gonna give yourself 3 different words, but different. What it came to me is to have different stage of you. Like the younger version you, when you see your childhood version of you, how you see this. It's you, but it's different energy of you. Does it make sense?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you are in the 20s, 30s, covered to do journalist or whatever, that's different energy of you. Now, obviously, you are in another stage, or maybe you're leading into a new stage. So I kind of want you to go just, okay, this stage, maybe, 10, 15 under, that's a different version of you, how you see this version of you, and how you see that version of you actually, because the dream, or because of the what are things he get into, prepared you to be the 20, 30 years, that period of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, younger me was very shy and very not open to chatting with people, not like just very
close up. Maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. I moved around a lot.
I would say you are in your own world, because if your imagination, if you're probably a lot of things you are already.
Well, that, but also, I mean, I had my friends and things like that, but I was very shy. I was very shy, and then after college, college helps you open that up a little bit, but I was still very shy. And then in my 20s, when I went into television, I had to be less shy because I had to go and interview random people. So I had to learn how to approach and talk to strangers, and that really was able to open me up a little bit more. And that's also the 20s, 30 is your growing, learning, professional phase. Yeah. So going from I don't really know what I'm doing to I think I know what I'm doing to maybe I know what I'm doing, and growing through that, and then even when you get into the stage of awards and things like that, realizing that you don't know what you're doing, realizing that there's always something to learn. Yes. And then getting to the point where I'm at now, which is there's a confidence factor knowing that when I produce something, I think it's going to turn out pretty good because of all the experience. Yeah. But also knowing that moving from that film 7 years ago to that film now to the next film in 10 years or whatever it is, that film in 10 years is going to be better. Yeah. So having the confidence, having the awards, having the professional, stuff on your resume that says you know what you're doing, but realizing that there's always more. And I think people get stuck in the area that I'm in, where I know everything now. Maybe not I know everything, but they're just when you think you know everything, there's nowhere else to go up. So I'm always trying to remind myself there's some incredible documentary films out right now on Netflix or Amazon or whatever that I personally would say are better than mine because I want to reach that area. Yeah. So the documentary's good.
You always
good.
can go deeper. I haven't watched it, but I'm going to watch it. But that's a good one of you give me a general idea of, I really like, because the time we invest on something, right? Every day you'll be really mindful what are the things you invest your time on, because what you invest the most is going to come back, turn out what you put onto it. Yeah. Not saying I'm not going to invest things, but like you said, it's a lot of documentary. That's why I'm very mindful, choose things to watch, is because I don't want after I watch I stuck into now what. And I like to solve problem too, especially, you help a student to teach them how to do the films that they can go on their own, right? On their adventure. I support people so they can be happier, lighter to go on their own journey. So if I know the problem that I could not solve and I don't get it, and I don't know. I just don't like that feeling. And especially some of the movies at the end, it's like you have no idea. Either die, you live, or whatever. It's just like, don't hand me there. Yeah. I want to see the hope, because that's what I choose to be more positive way of living. Right now we're talking about positive. I do need to go back a little bit, because I kind of know your past a little bit, but everything is just little bit. Yeah. So I think before we talk about when you were the news coverage for the journalist, right? Yeah. Now, obviously, you are a professor of practice. I know, I get it.
Yeah.
So how do you see that part of your experience as journalist news? Because you see a lot of terrifying or horrific scene, right? Sometimes, right?
Yes.
And now when you look back, that's why now it's time. Sometimes we look back to our past to see that specific experience actually contributed to part of the big picture of what you're doing right now. Now you have gratitude, right? Not say you did not, but when you're in it, it's really probably pretty much on your mental, emotional level.
Yeah, news is a tough business. I mean, you get to do a lot of really fun things. I get to cover the red carpet of some
I would love that.
big event with a bunch of stars, and I got to interview a bunch of stars, and that was a lot of fun. But then you're right, you have the terrible stuff too that you have to, because
tragedy, right?
Yeah, and I talk to my students about this, my journalism students. I'll say, hey, do you want to hear all the bad stuff that I've seen? And they're all like, yeah, because it's like a movie to them,
because they never see it,
because they've never seen it in person.
Yeah. Yes.
And I said, look, I'll tell you everything you want to know, but right now my stomach's going to get upset because I'm going to remember, all these things. And I know it's an interesting area. It's an interesting topic because I know I've been at a really traumatic thing, and I know that your body protects you and you've repressed the memories. And I can remember the place. I can remember what I was doing. I can remember the story. I can remember seeing something out in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I can remember saying, how do I shoot this? Because I can't put that on TV because that's not allowed to be on TV. Yeah. So I ended up shooting a paramedic from here up, giving chest compressions on this person.
Yes.
Because I couldn't shoot anything else. And I have a couple other smaller memories of that, but I don't remember the image.
Yeah, because your body,
you're
will protect you.
You're protected.
Exactly.
And so that I talk to my students about that because they're going to have to experience that. I've been to a lot of scenes where there's a dead body somewhere, those kind of things, as shooting, all that kind of stuff. And something about news that I think probably needs to be looked at is if you're a police officer, a firefighter, and you show up to these traumatic events, there's somebody for you to go and talk to. Back at the station, you can, you went through this traumatic experience. You went, you fired your weapon, at this event as a police officer. Here's somebody to talk to about that thing that happened. In news, we don't have that. Now, in news, we're not as close as the firefighter and the police officer are, but I can still see it. I'm, they're a foot away. I'm 25, 30 feet away, but I can still see what's going on. So those are the kind of things that I think start to weigh on somebody. But on a completely separate area of that, there is some gratitude to that too, because you see more of humanity and what humans are capable of. But you also realize how good your life is when you go back home that night. So there is kind of a yin and yang to it a little bit.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. When you say that, I'm like literally feel like I'm seeing the scene. You're like this far away, and I'm like,
it's tough. And I remember when I was in academia, when I just got into academia, we were up for some awards. We were out a night in Detroit at this award ceremony, and we were driving home, and my colleagues and people. I was driving the van. I didn't drink that night. My friends had drank a little bit, and so I'm driving the van home, and I look up front and I see there's a police scene, covering the road.
So you know what's going
on. And I look over and I can see a white sheet on the ground, and I can see a bunch of little yellow tents flags on the ground. Those are bullet casings. They normally mark them with yellow, and the white sheet is there's probably somebody there. So I turned the van around real quietly, and the person in the seat next to me, a former news guy too, and he looked over at me. We both knew what it was. Turned around, and of course, as I'm turning around, everybody in the back's like, "Oh my goodness! So I wonder what's going on over there." And I don't say anything, and we start driving away, and they're like, "Well, I really wonder what happened." I go, "Well,
you probably don't want to."
I go, "There was a shooting, and somebody's dead." They're like, "How do you know that?" I go, "I used to do that for a living. I could tell exactly." But I wanted to wait till we'd driven away, so you guys didn't turn around and start looking at it, because then you would have that visual in your head all the time of there's what that was. So it's interesting. I'm glad I don't do it anymore. I'm glad I make films like funny films now.
Let's lift the energy a little bit.
Well, that's one of the reasons I made both of those films was I did so much serious stuff
Heavy
in
stuff,
my
right?
career.
Yeah.
And the films that I did before that, the film was Spare Parts Human Organ Trafficking in Bangladesh. Super serious topic, very important. But again, like it drains you a little bit. I don't think people on Netflix want to watch something and get bummed out. So I said, well, let me try to make something funny for a change. And it's nice to make something.
Well, something really serious, but also having a way of how you tell the story.
Right.
How we tell the story, how we unfold the story, that's exactly what I was asking before. It was like, for all this idea I have, stuff like that, I was like, because the way you see how unfolded, the way I see is totally different, and I like always to have other people's perspective to help me say, oh, why you feel that way is the way of you want to unfold a story versus I think I feel this way, right?
Absolutely.
Something I want to ask you. Oh yeah, now you are at where you're at right now, so I think the question is that I don't want to see how you see yourself in next couple of years, because future, past, they're all simultaneous right now. So what are something you are focusing on in your career right now, right? Because how many years have you been teaching MSU? 14?
I think I'm going on 15.
Oh, I have good memory. Where does the number come from? I don't even know.
I'm on 14 now. You're right. Next year I think I'll be 15. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So where you at? Because 14 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And
it's gone by quick.
Yeah.
And it's gone by quick because I like what I'm doing now, and that's really nice. And I know I'm really lucky to love what I do. I know not a lot of people do. So you
love what you do, right?
Yeah,
that's
it just doesn't.
Important.
It's a hobby that people pay me for, and which is just great. And I love passing along my knowledge to students.
Yeah.
I love seeing what they do after college. I love going to the theater and watching a Marvel movie, and at the end of it, watching one of my students' names go up in the credits.
Aww.
That's just great. That's just such a great feeling.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very happy with where I'm at, and it also my job allows me to do other things. It allows me to
play your music.
Well, yeah, it allows me. I've got my band. It allows me to go on the road and do Professor on the Road. I did study abroad. For 6 years, and I took students to the UK and Ireland. I was on a documentary crew a number of years ago, probably 10 years ago, and we went to China for 14 days for a shoot.
Yeah, yes.
And that was an amazing experience. So they give me all these opportunities. They sent me to Australia one time, so they give me all these really amazing opportunities to do great things, and I appreciate that a lot.
Beautiful, because we always want to wrap up with gratitude, right?
Yes.
Doesn't matter what. That's basically, we are at the end of the podcast here, and thank you so much. And will you tell people where to find and kind of a little wrap up of this shit saves the world, and yes, give a little bit wrap up for this, and help people connect with you if they want to connect with you, they want to go to listen to your music if they are in the Eastern Lansing area, right?
Yes.
And you also get yourself into or you want to enroll MSU so they can fund you.
Oh yeah, MSU is the easiest one. Michigan State University, MSU.edu, and then you're there. College of Communication Arts and Sciences is where I teach, and there's a bunch of different areas of study that you can do at that college or anywhere at MSU.
You're just gonna find you, pull you right out.
If you want to go into
what's the band's name? What's the name of the band that you play?
Atomic Annie.
Atomic Annie?
Atomic Annie, and we're not the Atomic Annie from Finland. And they're a good band too. They're the ones from anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, this one, the easiest way for me, shitsavestheworld.com. There's everything, my contacts in there, all that kind of stuff. Instagram page, Facebook page, YouTube page, whatever. There's a bunch of ways to send
all
me
the
messages
social media
that way.
Probably can track you down.
I haven't done Twitter yet because I've never been able to figure it out.
I don't really do Twitter.
I should probably look it up and figure it out. Instagram's doing well though, and then it's on almost any platform. So if you just look it up and your platform, you probably find it. I think the only one I think it's not on is Netflix, but it's on Amazon. It's on Vudu.
Okay. By the way, how you can get your movie on the Netflix? Is it hard to get on? Because I don't know. I'm not in that industry. I'm just curious.
It's all difficult.
So how you get them on, let's say, on the Amazon?
So for these two films, what I ended up doing, there's a huge process to get to a point where it can be sold.
Okay.
So, and there's a lot of things you have to do. You have to get insurance. You have to go through quality control. There's a lot of things. What I did is I went to the American Film Market in Santa Monica, California. It's in early November every year. It's a I would say conference/film market, and a film market is where they buy and sell films. So you have companies, distribution companies, sales agents that are there, TV stations that are there to buy content, and I'm there to sell content. I've produced content, and you can go there with an idea. You can go there with something half done. You can go there with something done. I guess the best thing to do is go with an idea, and somebody will say, "Hey, I really like what you're doing, and let's talk and let's figure it out." So it's a little bit the same as getting a book deal and things like that. You just have to go out and pitch. And the nice thing about the American Film Market is there's actually a little conference part of it, and there's like a how-to pitch session, and there's a how to budget your film session. You know, they got all that kind of stuff. So I've been out there 3 times, and I've sold 2 films at those. And this time I went and found a sales agent. The sales agent said, "We like what you're doing. We're going to try to sell that to distribution companies." And the nice thing this time is my sales agent, Motion Picture Exchange, they sold it to Gravitas Ventures, which is a good distribution company. If you're on Netflix and you click on a film, you'll see Gravitas. They have a lot of films out there. And then my sales agent went out to foreign markets and found distribution companies there. So I'm with different distribution companies in those markets. So they have that relationship to be able to do that.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you for briefing those things.
They take a little bit of money. They take a little bit of money.
Just let you know, a little bit of money.
That. Anytime you have an agent, they take a little bit of money, right? But they have that relationship with those companies that I don't have. And my agent was able to say, "Hey, we have 6 companies that are interested in your film just in the U.S. Which one do we want to go with?" So, you know, it's a little
That's a little bit money can get you further along. So you want that gives you a little bit money.
Well, and now that I have those kind of relationships, now I can reach out to those companies and say, and they might reach out to me if this film does really well and say, "Hey, your last film did really well. What do you got next?"
Yes.
And I've already got that relationship.
Right? The connection, investment.
It's about relationships, and some of my students think it's only about relationships, but it's about relationships and doing a good job.
Yes.
So I have that relationship with these companies right now. If this film doesn't do very well, that relationship doesn't go very far anymore. Yeah, because you build on something like a mutual that I invest you, but something you need to come back, right? Absolutely. So that's how the society works, by the way. Yeah. You know, we're still based on a lot of human rules, and sometimes you have to follow it, but also play with it. Don't get too serious, right? Right. And but thank you, Troy, for coming here and record this podcast with me, and I really appreciate that. And no problem. If you guys want to check his work, we already know if you want to find this documentary, SavesThe.com, and or you can just search him. I literally, I had to Google his bio before. I'm the first Troy Hale that comes out on Google. Yeah, and I'm not the sheriff that got arrested. I'm a different Troy Hale. But yeah, he also works for MSU. So if you're interested to connect with him personally, and I think you can find his personal Instagram as well, right? Sure. Troy Hale. Yeah, here's my cell phone number, and no, I'm just kidding. Do you want to put it on the dating app? I'm joking. But thank you guys for tuning in this episode of Unity Through Diversity, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you.